Hi, I'm Tom Hollingsworth with Tech Field Day, a part of the Futurum Group, and I'm here interviewing my friend Lindsay Hill. Lindsay, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Thanks, Tom. Lindsay Hill. I'm a network engineer for a reasonably large game and CDN network.
Well, we're very happy to have you on here, Lindsay, because you have a lot of experience in the networking space. And I wanted to pick your brain for a little bit because we're seeing a lot of interesting trends in the data center. But I wanted to kind of ask you what is going on with data center networking? Like, what's working? Or more importantly, what's not working right now?
Some things are working pretty well. What's easy to throw off at vendors and get annoyed and blah, blah, blah. But, we went through that transition away from the big layer 2 fabrics a few years ago, and there was quite a bit of pain getting to EVPN, VXLAN, things working in a stable, reliable manner. But for the most part, we've gotten past that. And so for a lot of our big networks where you're following a standard sort of a design now, those things work pretty well. It's mostly does what you think it should do. There's always odd little bits and pieces, but for the most part, we know what we're doing and we can just keep banging out those networks.
Yeah, I agree. It's the stability and kind of the repeatability of what we've been building in the data center has, kind of allowed us to explore different ways to put new applications on top of it, which is not something we could have done in the past times where it felt like every little thing we tried to hit the network with suddenly caused it to collapse like a house of cards. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're getting better at operating at a scale outside of the campus but I wanted to get your take on this because I've heard from a lot of different people that, scale is easy if you build it right. And then I've heard from a lot of other people that go, man, scale is almost impossible for us to do because everything feels so custom. So where are like in the middle are we a little more towards the easy side now thanks to cloud networking, or are we still kind of on the hard side of, yeah, but I've got this one thing that doesn't work correctly?
So I can't talk to the absolute hyperscalers. I can only talk to the scale that we operate at, which is in the order of 1,000 odd devices. We push a lot of bits through our network, but for a lot of our network is relatively simple and relatively standardized. And for those things, it's 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 a known quantity. There's still hard work to do. When you want to go and replace an existing running network with something new and try and keep things online while you're doing it, there's hard work involved in doing that. But it's a known quantity. It's something that we know that we can do. We know how to operate that. That's the easy bits as I think of it. If I just want to got a simple layer 3 network, packet comes in, I know where to send it, shove what's the best path, shove it out there, get rid of it. That's all that stuff's pretty easy. But sometimes I think when I think about the scale, I think it's kind of easy almost when you're doing the big repeatable thing. The hard one is, yeah, actually, I need to get this traffic from that location to there, but it's got to go across these networks here, and I'm going to have to tunnel it through this, and I've got this funny little thing here, and it's a funny thing where these kind of have those same challenges no matter how large your network is. You could be running a really small network, and you've got those same horrible little things you're trying to solve, but the difference is you probably just got one person trying to operate that network, one, maybe two. And it's actually, I feel like it's harder for the smaller networks. It's harder than when you operate at real hyperscale. Um, at least with networking though, you see the core stuff's going pretty well. One of the good things is that because applications have changed over the few years, I sort of feel like we can avoid some of those nasty little things that we used to have to do. We can't completely do away with them because everyone's got some weirdo building management system or some random thing that was designed by an electrical engineer who hates software. Believes that routing is the devil's work and everything should be done via broadcast. We've all got those pockets, but a lot of that's evolved as well. There's a lot fewer of those things than it needs to do. And that's so while, say, in our case, we asked the network to shift a lot of bits, we're not trying to make it do unnatural acts. And I think that's helped us a lot as well.
And I would agree. And the journey that you described is not too dissimilar from the way that we started off using, personal computers, and everything had to be compiled to run on a very specific architecture, and it had to be done in a very custom way. And then as we've abstracted that away and created ways to build better software, it's very trivial now to write an application that can run in a multitude of areas. It's just those random corner cases, like printer drivers, that are still a problem. And I think the network is the same way. It's like, by and large, the most of the network is pretty static, pretty solid, pretty solved. It's those interesting ideas that we have to get around. And one of the things that I love about events like Tech Field Day is that we get to discuss some of those interesting cases. I can tell you about a number of times over the years that I've heard of an interesting use case that I was like, I don't know how I would build a network about doing something like that. But I wanted to let everybody know out there that we do have a special event coming up on September the 24th with our friends at Nokia. We're doing a Networking Field Day exclusive event with them, where they're going to be talking about some of the challenges in the data center. And they're going to be trying to figure out some ways to maybe kind of solve them in a better way. So I wanted to ask you, Lindsay, as someone who's been around networking in a number of capacities for years, where do you think Nokia can have the most impact on the future of networking?
We've talked a lot over the last few years about different protocols, different methods of managing networks. So not so much about at a protocol level, we know most of what we want to do there, and we've got most of the pieces we need for most things, and that's fine. We've talked a lot over the last few years about you should use GNMI, you should use APIs to manage things, you should use, and a lot of us are doing a lot of that, but it's been harder than I want it to be. People say SNMP is dead. So, well, yeah. Well, the thing is, I can go and get LibreNMS, and I can have a functional network management system up and running in half an hour, let's say. If I want to go and do that with not SNMP, it's absolutely doable, but it's a whole lot of work to get to there. And I feel that Nokia's got, I think, what they can do in terms of having an impact wider. And what I'm quite excited about, the things they've been doing, is when they release tooling and things and saying, hey, here's an easy way to run virtual environments for all of your stuff. Here's an easy way to set up this thing to pull data, streaming data from your devices, and do something useful with it, rather than just, hey, here's the interface, figure it out yourself. And it's kind of funny because if you look at what they're doing, they're not focusing it on just them. And I sort of wonder if we'll look back and go, hey, they actually had a wider impact on the way all of us did things for the better of everyone. Obviously, they want it to work well with all of their stuff, but I think that's what they have been doing, what they're continuing to do. I think that's going to change the way we operate networks, rather than anything at the, everyone's got the Tridents and the Tomahawks and the whatever chipsets, and everyone's got whatever interfaces and things, but who's actually making it easier to do the tooling around it? Who's doing those sorts of things? So I think that's where they will have the biggest impact.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's not a matter of making things faster or more throughput here or less heat there.
No one wants another tunneling protocol, right?
Exactly. We seem to be solving a lot of these same challenges in the same old ways, but it's taken these shifts in the market set, with things like software defined networking, to force us to examine how we consume these resources. And I think that that's something that we're going to hear from our friends at Nokia during the special event on September the 24th. We have a full day of presentations regarding the state of the data center, some of the new advances that Nokia is making, but also some of the workloads that are running on top of the network that are challenging the way that we think about those. So make sure you head over to techfieldday.com and set your calendars for those great presentations. We'll have lots to share with you as we get closer to the event. But Lindsay, if people want to check out some of your thoughts on networking and read some of your content, or perhaps listen to it, where can they go to do that?
Main place to find me is my blog, lkhill.com.
Awesome. And if you want to learn more about what we do here at Tech Field Day and maybe see some of our great videos, just head over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/techfieldday. Check out techfieldday.com for a list of our upcoming events, including our special Networking Field Day exclusive with Nokia. Until then, September the 24th, I hope that you enjoy your networking day, and we hope to see you